All right, so welcome to the first Expat Chat of 2018 with YBE Young Black Expat.
In the house! Y'all funny.
We're making the 90s.
Arsenio.
Arsenio!
And for the first episode of the Young Black Expats of 2018, we only saw it befitting to have and invite our family, homies,
oh man, the coolest family.
Blacugees,
the Dames, Omar and Aquila. How y'all doing? God, how's everything?
It's good. It's wonderful.
Yeah, everything is going great.
That's good. That's good. We had a chance to meet you over the phone. You were in Panama at the time, and you was asking us questions on how Medellin is. And
was that 2016?
Yeah.
That was 2016.
Yep, 2016, and we met from there. And y'all came to Medellin, Colombia. We got a chance to meet your beautiful family because you have two teenage sons.
Right.
And you know, it's amazing. The good connection is, you know, me and Omar is born a day apart. Like he's born on the 30th of March, and I'm born on the 29th of March. So we just instantly clicked, you know, and such a wonderful family. Tell me, how did you come about moving out of the States? Tell a little bit about yourself and how did you move out the States and things of that nature.
Yeah, we actually decided in 2016 to go ahead and move and relocate out of the States. It had been a desire and a dream of my husband's for many years to relocate and to live in other countries and just travel, immerse into different cultures and things like that. And it was really something that I was very, very hesitant about. I was not feeling it. And really to be honest with you, I had really bought into the American hype that, you know, America is the absolute best country in the world. Other countries have nothing to offer in comparison to what the United States has to offer. And so, you know, not that I don't love my country or anything like that, but I was really ignorant in terms of understanding that the world at large had a lot more to offer.
Exactly.
And so what I started doing in the beginning of January 2016 was sort of opening up my mind and deciding that I wanted to try something different to combat those fears, combat those preconceived notions. And I just came to my husband and said, you know what, I've decided that I can do anything for a year. I can commit to anything for a year.
That's right.
I'm going to do it forever, but for 1 year, I think that I'm willing to jump on board and partner with you to live this dream that you want to realize, you know? And so it came about as a part of compromise and me sort of being willing to broaden my horizons. And we started researching and just looking into different countries of where we wanted to go. Now, he always knew, day one when he mentioned it to me years ago, he wanted to go to Spain, hands down. That was he had already mapped it out. He had looked at everything. I mean, everything from the quality of the water to the transportation to how to get a license. I mean, he had all of the information, but I wasn't really confident as far as moving so far away from home and family and everything like that, traveling with the kids, because I was sort of concerned about safety and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So we decided to venture into Central America and South America, and we toured those areas for probably about a year and a half.
But I mean, it's funny because she wasn't confident with being so far away from family, but we're originally from New York and we were living in Georgia. I'm like, you're 1,000 miles away from your family right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like, what's 1,000 miles in this direction or in that direction? It's the same distance, really.
Exactly.
And so I think that, that kind of, I don't know if that helped you at all, but I know I kept saying it. So.
I mean, it took me a little time for it to, to come to a deeper understanding of that. For some reason, in my perception, I think a lot of other people that may be watching that are interested in moving or considering moving, they may also have the perception in their mind that they want to be a little close, back to home, because then it sort of feels like you're not too far away, right? But once we ended up getting to Central America, it definitely helped me to recognize that no matter where you're living, you are, you know, in a different area from where you're connected to. And I started seeing all of the benefits that other countries and cultures and lifestyles had to offer. And I'm like, man, I've been missing out.
Exactly.
It's
a long time ago.
Now, one of my questions is, I know that you have 2 sons. So when you first left the United States, how old were they?
Okay, so when we first left the States,
Omar was 11, huh?
Right. Our oldest son was 11.
Our youngest.
He was youngest son was 11.
His David was 14.
And our oldest son was 14.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he had just finished his 9th grade year.
Yeah, he had just finished his 9th grade year, and our youngest son was going into the 6th grade, I believe.
Yeah. And,
okay. So we get a lot of questions, and I'm sure you all do too, on, you know, the people who want to, you know, experience living abroad, that have children. They're always really concerned about, you know, the children, if it's going to be an adjustment for the children, or
the schooling,
you know, if they're going to miss going to school, or if they're going to miss their grandparents and things like that. So how easy or difficult was the adjustment, and how did you even tell them, like, look, guys, we're going to go?
Well, when we left, it was kind of at, you know, the crescendo of what was happening socially in America to Black people, to young Black boys, and to Black men. And so they had already had an anxiety, because, you know, I'm a father, I had to have the talk with them, right?
Exactly.
Right. The dreaded talk.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, they were, you know, their childhood essentially was stripped from them in that manner. But I had to, because of where we were living. We were living in Georgia, and you know, it's deep down there. You know, it's beautiful, but you know, it's Georgia.
It's the South.
Yes,
it's the South, and so deep red, right? And so what happened? There was a guy in the same county that we were in that you know, a cop ran up on him because he was driving his mother's Maserati, and just start dumping into the car on the guy, right? Wow. And so it was in the same county as us.
It was like 30 minutes from where we live.
So I had to show them, like, listen, this is, you know, it doesn't matter how affluent you are, how successful you are, how successful your parents may be. This is a reality, you know, in our country for young Black men. And then there was another gentleman that they found in the park.
Yeah, in 2016, like the late summer, I believe, early fall, there was a man that was found hung in Centennial Park, which is like,
with his hands tied behind his back.
Yeah, and Centennial Park is like a national park in Atlanta. It's actually where they held the
Piedmont.
Was it Piedmont? Okay.
So Piedmont. Okay, yeah, I'm familiar.
You know, this huge thing where this guy was, you know, killed. They alleged that it was suicide and things of that nature. And it was a lot of scandal as to whether or not that was the case. So the kids were sort of constantly hearing about these stories. Also in 2016, obviously, that's when we got, you know, 45. That was brought into office, and, you know, Donald Trump was brought into office. And so there was a whole kind of tension that was going on anyway in the country. And so the kids were sort of like, yeah, we're okay with trying something different. Yeah. We're okay with, you know, experiencing something different. And because of the fact that we had always traveled with them when they were kids, whether it was going on cruises or, you know, we always were a traveling family, and we always traveled with our kids. Yeah. So they were familiar with traveling, and they just saw it as an adventure, really. Right. But to touch on your point, in terms of what other parents may be thinking or gauging as far as being a little hesitant moving with their children, that was one of the things we were concerned about, but we actually looked into schooling options. So when we first left the States, we enrolled our kids in an international school, a private international school in Panama. And we had a chance to do some research on the school and things like that. And the boys enrolled, and they had their, you know, daily experience of going to school. The school was supposed to be bilingual, but really it was majority Spanish. So considering our boys,
it was Spanish.
Yeah, it was primarily Spanish speaking. So considering our boys were not bilingual, it was a little bit of a challenge. Not terrible, but it was a little bit of a challenge to acclimate a bit. The only disadvantage, and something that I would say as far as enrolling your children into international schools, you really want to do the research to make sure that the curriculum is on par with the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah, we found that, you know, the children were behind.
Right. All kids.
And this is in their private school. Like just that country's education by itself is far behind.
Right.
In their private school, you know, Omar Jr. was learning things that he had learned 2 years previous.
Okay.
So we're like, we can't do this. You know, we're not going to do that. You know what I mean?
We're not moving backwards.
Right. No, we're not doing that.
We didn't come to do that. And we definitely didn't want them to fall behind. You know, fortunately, our kids were always either in some type of advanced classes in the States. So we wanted them to keep on pace.
Yeah, and they were honest about it, though, too. The boys were, you know, they'll come home and like, man, they talk about multiplication. I did that in the second grade.
Yeah, right.
So they were honest, you know, that way. You know, I think that was a key thing as well. You know, creating that, you know, an atmosphere where they could feel comfortable to be expressive about their experiences as well. You know, at first they were, you know, as the romance phase, they were like, "Oh, this is wonderful."
Honeymoon. Yep.
So exciting. And then when reality set in after 3 months after that 90-day mark, they begin to say like, nah, this is, you know, this is too easy. You know, I do all my work without trying, stuff like that. You know, so I think that, you know, once we identified that, we began to look for other opportunities. It's like, I'm not going to just keep trying to shop and find, you know, a curriculum that I felt would be, you know, challenging to them in a whole nother language. You know, so we just decided, hey, maybe we should just, you know, take on this homeschooling thing, which is, we never really, that wasn't in the cards for us.
No, that was not in the cards. If we're moving to another country, we're going to be immersed in another culture and language, and there's going to be so much new things that are happening. The last thing I wanted to do was homeschool my kids, you know? I'm like, aside from that, just being real, as a mom, I was like, I like when the kids leave 6 hours a day. And I have a break for 6 hours. I'm just being honest with you. You know, I was really like, homeschooling, you know, but at the time, you know, that's the thing. Sometimes situations will put you in a position where they challenge you to rise up, right? They challenge you to rise up and pull out a potential in yourself that you didn't know was there. So we're like, okay, now we're homeschooling parents. So we ended up finding a curriculum for them, a really great curriculum that is all internet based. And
but we, you know, we went through one before.
Yeah, we did go through another curriculum before, and that
you know, we heard
fit for us.
Yeah, we heard some people. You know, we got involved in some groups. People were talking about different things that work for them. We got into one that was like this fundamentalist Christian program, right? And you know, we come out of church, so you know, Christian, hey, okay, it's fine. But they were like super Christian.
Super extremist type religion.
Like, don't wear no pants, ladies type thing. Like no makeup, kind of stuff. Yeah, it was like, wow, that's a lot, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they rebelled against it. They began to, and it's wonderful because it caused them to research. You know, everything builds, right? It all builds. Exactly. So, you know, they'll say something. You know, the teacher will say something, and Xavier, he'll go and he'll start researching and be like, Dad, the teacher said this, and this is what I found, like just proving it. So I mean, it was good for that method, but it was like, I don't really want them to have to obtain, you know, an education while being programmed.
And indoctrinated.
Because that's the very reason why we left. We wanted to come out of that program.
Exactly. Look at life differently.
Now let me ask you one question, just on the curriculum. Homeschool curriculum, because somebody asked me this and I really wasn't sure of the answer, but when they are traveling like that, are you still using a US based curriculum? Are you having to ship the test or the work back to a US base to make sure that they're staying up to par with the US, or is it just, I mean, I don't know how that works.
Right. So basically, it depends on the curriculum that you enroll your children in. There are so many different homeschool curriculums out there, and some of them do require that, you know, your children will have certain tests or workbooks or assignments that you have to actually ship and mail back to the states to be graded. Or
you have to enroll locally for some different, in different countries and things like that. It depends also on the timeline of your visa. how long you're going to be in a specific country. That basically dictates whether or not you have to enroll your child, because in some countries it's illegal to homeschool.
Yeah, right.
You have to know that, right?
It's really important. Like, what I would advise people is there are a lot of groups on Facebook for homeschooling and world schooling, and they have a plethora of information from people that have experienced all different curriculums and could give a lot more information. But as far as we're concerned, we did find, now it does work differently for some people. Say, for instance, that a family is a traveling family and they only intend to travel for 3 to 6 months out of the year, right? So they're not traveling full time. For that period of time, the school that their kids go to locally in the States could actually give them correspondence work so that they can work on their work for the 6 months that they're out of the country, and then bring all of those assignments back to the school for them to grade it before the school year is up. So that's one option. As far as other options, sometimes they will require you, as I mentioned before, to mail back the assignments. But this program that we're in and that we enrolled our children in, everything is done right online. So all of their tests, all of their quizzes, assignments, everything goes right to the school. As soon as they complete them, the grades are tallied right online. And the great thing about it as well is that there is a parent portal that allows you to work in tandem with your children, so you can see everything that your kids are doing. So if they're behind on a math assignment, you don't have to wait for someone to tell you. You can see it yourself. So
and this curriculum is 100% certified, and accredited. What our approach was this, okay? I mean, there's so many different approaches. There's people say, hey, we want to unschool. We want to, do world schooling. Well, that's wonderful when you have something called white privilege. But when you're Black, you're gonna need some type of structure, in my opinion. I'm not saying, I'm just speaking for my sons, that I want them to have a structure that is conducive with the U.S. standard, right? And so their school is based out of Missouri, right? The curriculum is challenging. They have, AP courses, they have Common Core, they have everything that a school would have, and they access it from their tablet. And so the beautiful thing is it cuts past all of the noise at school, so they can sit down and do a year's worth of schoolwork, which they've done in 4 months.
Right.
So, like, they're already done with school. They finished about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So they finish a lot earlier throughout the school year than what they traditionally would in a regular school setting, which is good when you're traveling, because it then gives you an opportunity. Okay, the kids are wrapped up with school. Now we can go out and maybe explore a little bit more, or do a lot more traveling and trips and stuff like that. For us, everyone is different, but our approach is that we like to try to keep at least some type of routine and regimen for the kids while they're in school. Yeah. And then once they finish up school, then we sort of go and do a lot more activities and stuff like that. Right. We try to keep some type of structure for them. And, as we mentioned, our oldest son just started his 12th grade year, so he's a senior now, and that was really important to us to make sure that he was right on top of all of his grades, so that when it's time for him to transition and go into college, it wouldn't have any effect on him, considering that we decided to pull him out of regular school and begin to homeschooling. So he'll get a U.S. diploma just as if he was in the States.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Excellent. That's excellent. And they're such, well-behaved and such. Just they speak very intelligently. They'll hold a deep conversation with you. It's just excellent.
We love them. Yeah.
And I know that just for them traveling around the world, it has really just even made them blossom even more. To have all of those different experiences, and so let's go over the countries you've been. You went to Panama.
Right.
So what are the countries that you live in?
So right now we're on country number 6. We're on country number 6. So we left in 2016. It's been not even 2 years actually that we've been gone. But we visited Panama.
We don't visit. We go live there.
That's right.
The reason we say live there is because some people travel, like, you know, a lot of people are travelers and they'll bounce from this country, that country. They may stay for, you know, 2 weeks, a month or whatever. But usually anywhere that we've gone, we've always stayed a minimum of 3 months. 3 months. So we
want to feel it. You know, we want to, you know, feel what life is like in the places that we go.
Absolutely.
And understand the culture. And 2 weeks don't do that. You know, you need, you know, for us, immersion in that, the whole point is for the boys to have immersion
in that specific country, you know, to gain all of that knowledge from the country. So again, we lived in Panama, Colombia, Mexico, Nicaragua, Spain, and now Portugal.
Wow.
Okay, very good.
Wow.
So do you have a favorite place, or?
You know, that's an interesting question. We always vacillate. You know, we always feel like we're sort of
every new thing's the favorite, right?
We're like, oh, this is our favorite. This is our favorite country now. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like this. It's like you gain things that you love about each different place. You know, so to speak.
Yeah.
So right now, our favorite, our top. Let's say our top.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, well, I'll speak for myself. Okay, yes, I'll speak for myself. The top 3 places that are my favorite are Portugal, Spain, and Colombia.
Yeah,
those are my top 3.
Yeah, I would say the same. I would say, you know, my favorite is I can't nail it down for a favorite because like you got to do 3 months in a place, in my opinion, to be able to really
that 90-day.
Months of that place, you know, so Portugal is definitely up there. It's just, you know, the initial impression is dope. It's really
and we've
dope.
only been here less than 1 week and it's already in our top. So that does speak a lot.
Right? Yeah, that speaks a lot. Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Portugal, this is another thing. Portugal has Black people. Like we are African Americans. They have African Portuguese.
Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't know that. That
like look like you. Like, man, that look like my cousin. You know what I mean? Wow. And so I mean, a lot of people here speak English as well. That's also dope.
Yeah.
But I love Portugal for that because it's metropolitan and it feels like home.
Yeah, it feels like a city. And the thing about it is, I'm sure you guys can attest to this as well, living in Costa Rica, living in Medellin, living in Puerto Rico. I'm sure that you can recognize that in some of the countries you'll have your Afro, you know, community, that particular culture. And it sort of seems like, I'll just use Colombia as an example because we both were living there at the same time, right?
Exactly.
In Colombia, you will find the Afro-Colombians and you will see them in the city, but a lot of times they were sort of, in my opinion, sort of on the back rung of society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you saw them, they were in the kitchen, you know what I mean? Or they were the janitors or something of that nature. You didn't really see a lot of affluent Afro-Colombians or people that were the bank tellers or, you know what I'm saying, in higher status in society. In Portugal, out of all of the 6 countries we've been to, Black people are in every single level of society. They're flourishing. They're not walking around with their head down.
They own businesses.
You know, they're interacting and they're a part of the society and culture just as much as anyone else. And another thing about Portugal is it's very diverse. You'll see every ethnicity, Asian, you know.
Yeah, I mean, all living together. They all mix together. It's not segregated.
Yeah, and it's not that funny. You know that funny little vibe.
Yeah. Right. It's not that. Wow.
You know, that I'm so glad that you are in Portugal because the simple fact is, like, not too many people speak on that.
Right.
Like I don't hear about Portugal. Like people, you know, Spain, of course, and you know the South and Central America, but Portugal. So I'm glad that you're there. You experiencing something different, and it's something new. So yeah.
I mean, like I said, we've been here less than a week, but we really, really love it. And one of the things we'll also mention is that Portugal, out of all the places that we've been to, and you know, when you're a traveler and you don't speak the language, it can be difficult. You know what I mean? The Portuguese people, out of all of the 6 countries we visited, have been the most helpful, meaning like they will out of their car, walk you down the street to where you're going.
They're very accommodating.
Directions.
They're very accommodating. They're very kind. And now, you know, just to answer the second part of the question, as far as for myself, it is in tandem with Medellin. I love Colombia.
Yeah, we love it.
Because the Paisas are, them people are dope, man. I love like I've never seen anything that just this intrinsic happiness. And what the reason why I put Portugal next to Medellin is because the people here remind me of the spirit of the Paisas.
Okay.
Right? They're very kind. It's very engaging, and it's just authentic.
Right.
Authentic is like, I'm not just trying to be nice to you so I can get some money from you. It's just
So that's the difference.
This is our culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like when the boys go into the store, they're like, hey, you guys need anything? Like they love the kids. They love the kids, like, right? And so, and it's not this weird, like, you know, or you come here to steal stuff, like, follow around the store, like, you know what I mean?
Keep an eye on them, yeah.
For me, you know, right now, I would say my favorite is Colombia. And I only say it because I haven't been in Portugal long enough, but Portugal, even after, it's not even been a week.
Okay.
It's right there. It's right there with it. You know what I mean? So that's just my personal opinion. Then after that, Spain is just super laid back, super chill, and beautiful. And I love that Mediterranean lifestyle. So
yeah. And something else I wanted to mention, just to add to this, when you guys asked us what are our favorite places, the kids aren't here to obviously speak for themselves, but based on what they share with us, their favorite country so far has definitely been Colombia, hands down.
Yeah.
They're always saying like, okay,
can we
go
to
to the
now?
next place, but can we go to Colombia after that? Like,
Yeah, I mean, we all miss Colombia. You know, we used to go to Uni Station, Uni Mall, Uni Central, and the food. It was like everything was right there for us. So
talk about Colombia too. Always, you know, just the location of where we were. You know, we were right by the metro, 2 grocery stores,
so convenient,
restaurants, you know, coffee shops, whatever. The what was that? The bumper car ride,
the go-kart track, you know, at the mall, with the Jumbo.
Right, it was everything that you can think of, and you love that.
I love that, but you know, it kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth as far as the real estate and how the people were trying to get down. That was a problem with me, you know what I mean? Because then, for us, I don't know, for us as Black people, like when you lose our trust like that, we can't trust you like that. You know what I mean?
And I agree with that, man. I do. And one thing that I can also say that the reason why I'm feeling Portugal so much is because, you know, I can take my phone out anywhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I can wear a necklace and people like, you know, because they're, you know, it's very safe here, but it's like, if it's so safe, why can't use my camera?
Exactly.
Well, I got to put my phone away. Why can't I wear a necklace? And so I do think for me, safety, you know, is always, you know, a responsibility for my family. I got to put them in a safe place.
Yes.
I got to adjust wherever we are. But I do like being able to take my camera out, to be able to use my phone. For it, you know what I mean? For using my phone, like kill me for my phone, it's $400, but that's more than what they make in a month. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So doing that here in Portugal like that, and also, you know, like you were saying, you know, the real estate, you know, thing is, you know, progressively changing in Colombia from what we were just researching.
Yeah, even
today.
Spain, we found Spain is also going for the same type situation.
It's the Airbnb, guys, man, it's killing them.
Airbnb in almost three of the 6 different countries we've been in, unfortunately, has been had an effect in the local real estate market, especially in areas that are heavy for expats or tourist areas, because it drives up the prices of the rent so high, and it makes everything just, you know,
exactly.
And a lot of times, like in Spain, what they're doing
destabilizes their economy.
Yeah, destabilizes. In Spain, what they're actually doing is it was difficult it was very difficult for us to locate a rental in Spain, simply because a lot of the owners are actually just taking their apartments and closing them up entirely. They don't rent to anybody unless it's through Easter, unless it's through Christmas or a traditional holiday over the summer. So it's like a lot of different beautiful places that are just completely off the market because they can make what they usually would make in a month in 1 week.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. So let's give it now. You know, a lot of people think that you have the ball when you move out of these countries. You know, when they look at us, or they probably look at yourself, they like, well, they must have a lot of money. And to us, it's not true. You know, we really, especially like in living in Colombia, you know, we were in, I mean, like y'all had a penthouse, you know, in one of the best areas for like $1,200. You know what I mean? And like to have a maid and a cook, it was like $10 an hour or something like that. So can you tell people, like, you know,
for the whole day?
Yeah, $10 for the whole day.
Right.
Like, so people can actually move. You know, can you tell them that it's not a big deal? Like if you can make at least $2,000 to $3,000 a month or $1,500 a month, something like that, you can move to these places. You don't really have to go. Can you expound on that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, the first and foremost, the reason, one of the reasons why we decided to leave is because we was tired of that meat grinding.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, seriously, grinding myself all the way into the grave. Like, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Opportunities and options outside of this,
Yeah.
right? And so that's one of the major factors, is that it doesn't require that much of a grind just to have some modicum of joy in life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why does it cost this much? Like, why is it everything so expensive? Like, oh my God, I want to go to the doctors. I have to like literally do bloodletting and sell blood to go to the doctors.
It shouldn't be like this.
Like, come on.
So for us, it was like, this is dumb. Like, to me, and this is just for me, living in the States, seeing where all of this is going, knowing that they're not about to change it for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They're just gonna keep making excuses and distract you. For me, it made sense. Like, yo, if I can do what I do anywhere in the world, then I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna take that shot, and I'm gonna leave, because I don't want to have to grind myself into the grave to give my family a decent life.
It's true. It's not right. It's not how it was meant. It's not how life was meant to be lived.
Right.
You know, and it's very unfortunate that sometimes we do just get caught up in that rat race, and we have to fall ill in order to even, you know, recognize, like, what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? And so
what I wanted to add to that is that it definitely is, it's doable. And I think that what our approach was, right, when we first decided that we wanted to move, we knew that we had certain creature comforts, you know what I mean, that we were accustomed to in the United States. And regardless of where we live, there are certain things that are just going to be.
We're going to need that.
We're going to need, you know what I'm saying? And so certain people, you know, everybody's preference is different. So some people would say, okay, I don't have a washer and dryer, right? Or I don't have to have internet or something like that, whatever your preference is. But for us, we knew that there were certain creature comforts of things that we wanted in order to feel comfortable no matter where we were living.
Right.
So with that being said, you are going to pay a bit more depending on what are sort of your necessities that you need to live, right? But if, depending on what your lifestyle is, there are people, whereas we were paying, you know, $1,500 for a penthouse, there's other people that could get an apartment in a very nice area and pay $400, you know what I mean, or $500. So it really just depends. And so what our approach was, when I initially, you know, told my husband, okay, I'm on board with relocating and doing this, we said, okay, we're going to take what we already spent as our normal budget for living in Georgia, right? Our full monthly budget of all of our expenses, and we said, okay, we're going to cut that in half, and we're going to see how far this amount of money will get us in other countries. And that's what we did. We just basically said, okay, well, this is how much we're paying in Georgia. This is our budget. Okay, so what can we get? What's available to us for this same amount of money that we're working for, earning every single month, paying out every single month? I mean, those 30 days go by very, very fast for everybody, right? So we said, okay, well, where could we go with this same amount of money? And it just, the world opened up to us. We were like, wow. Like, we could go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? We were like,
it's absolutely true. And that's
of what we're paying in Georgia. We could be living somewhere, you know, on a beach in a penthouse with a chauffeur and a driver and everything else. So it was like, it really opened up our mindset.
It's so true.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we went through when we were in DC. We had a 1-bedroom condo, and we were paying like $2,000 for that. So when we went to Costa Rica, it was a small 1 bed. It wasn't even like huge.
Small. Yeah.
When we went to Costa Rica, we found a 2-3 bedroom house for $5-something. So
fully
we would
furnished,
pay
everything.
So we would pay quarterly. We give him. We just break off his rent. It was still less than what we were paying in 1 month.
Yeah.
And so we paid quarterly every 3 months. We just break them off, and he was happy, and we were happy. You know,
it was a peace of mind. Okay, now tell people, because see, the thing about it is, the key to us, if you don't have any retirement checks or something coming in pension, tell us a little bit about your profession and what do you do? Because we get so many questions on that. Like, how do you make your money? What do you do? So can you tell, the people what you do? And
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, let me first preface it by saying this. We are knowledgeable that our generation will receive no entitlements. I was told that in high school, that those things will run out before I get an opportunity.
Social Security.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not getting that. And it's like, okay,
look forward to it.
Right. And so it's like, okay, that's something that I know. So I have to choose pathways that I can continue to use and work. Even in my elder ages, right?
And plan for our own retirement, because it's not something that's going to be, just provided to us by the government as you come up.
We don't get that
in our generation, as you guys know.
That's something that we do. So the business platforms platforms in plural that we utilize are things that we feel are going to be a necessity in the developed society, whether it's sales, whether it's debt collections, whether it's credit management and business credit establishing, whether it's social media management. What we decided to do was to diversify not just our portfolio, but also our skill sets. Right. And so where she is naturally akin to administrative components, well, we're going to create businesses out of your strengths. That's multiple businesses out of your strengths. Likewise for myself, and then also for our sons as well. We're doing the same thing. What we utilize for training for our sons in their businesses is multi-level marketing platforms where they can get trained and taught and coached and things of that nature. But
to be able to develop early into life, an understanding of how to make money online. Right. Pretty much the primary platform of what we do as far as how we make money is internet marketing, and we also have some investments in real estate. And so with that being said, as long as we have an internet connection, we're able to work and earn money no matter where we are. So it doesn't keep us tied and tethered in one location, because as long as we have an internet connection, we can continue to work and continue to earn a living. So one of the most important things I will say, because we get that question a lot as well from people, that are like, well, I'm working at a job, I've been at this job for X amount of years, and I just don't know how I would be able to support myself. And so what I explain to people is that they need to, with that being said, you have to take your skill and you have to look at how you can turn your skill of what you're currently doing and earning your boss or your company or whatever corporation you work for and earning their money. You need to turn that into a skill to where you make yourself a business. Right. So what you're doing in the hours, the 8 hours, 10 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours a week that you're investing, how can you use that same skill, that same knowledge, that same understanding that you have and make it marketable to where you're contracting your services out to different businesses or out to different vendors to do what you're doing already, so that you're not tied down in one location.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, well said.
That's definitely one of the major things that I suggest.
And as you were speaking, it reminded me, sometimes people have these jobs that it doesn't even cross their mind that. Remember when I worked for the company and I went and asked the owner, could I work from home?
And he says, yeah.
Right. That's what I was saying. You would be amazed how many people never even consider asking their boss whether or not they can work from home or whether the job will create a position for them. Sometimes your job, like say for instance, your job may be paying you a certain amount per hour or a certain salary, and you're supposed to do 40 to 50 hours per week. Sometimes if you go to your job, to your boss or whatever, and you present them a proposal of what, okay, this is what I'm offering. I meet my stats every month. I'm constantly, adding to my position. I'm adding to this company. Therefore, I would like to know if you'd be willing to renegotiate my terms. And so some people, as opposed to working for a certain amount of money per hour, 40 hours a week, maybe your job may say, okay, well, listen, we'll be willing to pay you, maybe reduce your pay $1 or $2, and, maybe your hours by from 40 hours to 30 hours a week. But at the end of the day, if you're living in another country and your rent is only $350, that extra 10 hours a week to give you the flexibility to live where you want to live, the lifestyle you want to live, it's an exchange, and you're taking your skills and making it work for the lifestyle you choose.
I mean, and let's be honest here, right? I mean, we do realize that, the millennials are creating these pathways and redesigning and disrupting the traditional work market.
That's right.
Basically, freelancing is the wave of the future.
Right.
Because that's just where the market is heading, and it's where it's going. And so if we can, get into that and establish a foothold in it now before, there's over 1 billion freelancers that you're competing with, right?
Right.
Go ahead and establish now. You not only have, clients from your job, but you actually have an established platform to where you can receive more work and build and scale out. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is that's where it's going.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't given raises in America for 12 years, because it's going that way.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap this up, a lot of people don't know that you had your own church. You were pastors, and now you wanted to take something that you were missing, and now you wanted to get back to what you were doing as far as reaching people. Can you tell people about the new project that you're doing and changing people's lives? And can you talk about that?
No, thanks for asking that, man. We pastored for over 12 years, and it was a very enriching experience. There were limitations, I feel, in that system that were intrinsic, that were 2,000 years old, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. So we have, we took a step away, wanted to focus on our sons, focus on our family, make sure our sons are healthy and things of that nature, mentally and spiritually. And we've done that. And, we are at a place to where we are now introducing a platform that we are creating that gives us an opportunity to share those very same spiritual principles without the limitations, right? Without the limitations. And so we have created a platform called Inspirational Forces. That's the brainchild of my baby.
Yeah.
Inspirational Forces. And why don't you go ahead and tell me some more about that?
Yeah, so Inspirational Forces, the idea that we have for this platform that we're creating is basically being able to take the tools of wisdom and inspiration that we feel like we were gifted with, that we feel like is tied to our purpose and who we are, and being able to put it in a place to where it's virtually accessible to everyone. When we were pastoring, as my husband mentioned, it was definitely an enriching experience. It was a part of our journey. We don't regret it, in any way, shape, or form. There was a lot of things within the church system and organization that we no longer agreed with and wanted to align ourselves with. Right. But it certainly was a part of our development, a part of our foundation, and a part of us growing into who we are today. When we did have our church was very progressive. It's funny because a lot of things that we see people doing now on social media, like for instance, God's Plan with Drake, right? That was huge. Yeah. God's Plan. And I don't take anything away from that. That was beautiful what we did, but those are things that we were doing almost 15 years ago before there was social media and there was cameras, phones and things like that, giving people cars, paying off people's rent, paying people's electric bills, helping people and giving them money for tuition. All those kind of things were things that our ministry was very socially involved in the community and helping to ignite change in people.
Right.
And so those are some of the things that are a part of our heart and what we like to do and a part of our passion. And so we wanted to create a platform to where it doesn't have to be confined within the four walls of the church. We can share the things that we've gained and be able to give it to people in a new spin and in a new manner. So that's really what Inspirational Force is about. It's a tool to be able to educate, empower, and to inspire people. And we're really excited about it. We're working on it, and I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, we do also are going to focus very heavily on relationships, and building relationships, healthy relationships,
right.
Marriages.
Yeah, we've been married. Actually, our anniversary is in June, so it'll be 19. Our 19th?
That'll be 19.
Yeah, it'll be our 19th anniversary.
Oh, no.
That's what's up, man. 19 years.
I really know.
The husband is usually the one that forgets. It's been so long, but it'll be our 19th anniversary. And we do get a lot of questions. We get a lot of questions, and from people about relationships. When we were pastoring, we did a lot of marriage counseling, premarital counseling, and we've helped a lot of people, to overcome challenges in their marriage. And it's something that we wanted to make a part of our platform because we do feel that it's important to have healthy emotional intelligence. It's important to have healthy methods to be able to identify each other's strengths so that you can work with one another, because oftentimes in the church, people are taught that once you become married, you're supposed to be one soul, one mind, one body, one soul. And the truth of the matter is, in reality, you are two different individuals.
Two different things.
And trying to find a common ground of how you're going to navigate life together. And that's not easy.
Right. And so it's raw, man. This is going to be raw. It's going to be real.
Yeah.
It's going to be authentic. It's going to be our strengths. It's going to be our weaknesses, our failures, our successes, the lessons we've learned, our trials, our errors, and then not just ours. We're going to be bringing in other experts, as psychologists and therapists, and things of that nature to kind of help people. Take it. Because we live in real life, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And so we're gonna discuss that, and we're gonna be hashing those things out as well. And the boys, they're going to have their little voice on it. They're going to have their opportunities to share their stories and stuff. So, man. And it's not, and another thing, let me say this, it's not just like we're not defining what marriage should look like.
Right.
We that's not what our goal is. You know what I mean? If you're married, you're married.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Right. And we just want to help people to have healthy journeys, healthy experiences, and, to just be able to be real about it, because sometimes, when you are navigating life and you have so many different challenges and everything like that, the divorce rating, I really believe it's high because people are afraid to authentically get real about where they are, what their expectations are, how you may be having misunderstanding, miscommunication. And as opposed to doing the work to work through it and figure it out, it's like exhausted and they give up. And so we're trying to find, but we want to use the tools that we've gained over the years to be able to help people to get through those hard periods and come out on the other side. And I think that's something that we've seen time and time again over the course of our marriage and our ministry, and now we want to be able to include that in Inspirational Forces.
So we'll also be having, finally to end this, we'll also be having a retreat. We're going to plan that out for our 20th year anniversary next year, and we want to kind of celebrate with people that love us and of course support us, but we want to have a getaway retreat, and we're still developing that. We'll let you guys know we'll release that. But we want to in that retreat just have it to where people are built up, they're edified, it's like a marriage boot camp, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a relationship boot camp.
That is so
things with the retreat is we're also going to be offering and having an opportunity for people to do recommitment ceremonies. So, you know, for people that have worked through some bumpy paths in their marriages or relationships and they want to recommit, we're going to have like a wedding reception kind of thing.
That's nice.
Because there's some people that, you know, are married, never had an opportunity to have a wedding, never had an opportunity to have they just got straight into life, having kids and, you know, responsibilities, and never took that time for themselves. And so I think it's really important for couples to have an opportunity to have that time for themselves and do something special. So that'll be a part of our retreat as well.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And I'm super duper
yeah,
proud
man,
of both
that
of you.
is hot.
You
man.
know, you're always putting your heads together and, you know, just making it happen.
Yeah.
And that's totally what it's all about in the end anyways, just making it happen.
Yeah, I just want to say something, you know, and I, you know, I just want to give big props to you, you know what I mean, your family, because, you know, when we was in the time of need as far as the hurricanes in Puerto Rico, you know, you were the first people was like, what's up? It was like what we need to do, you know what I mean? Like we called, like the first people, you know, we called and reached out to you and you was like, whatever you need, because we didn't have no internet, nothing.
Thank you.
It was no question. It was like out of a dime, you know, y'all was like, we got it for you. Don't worry about it. And we really appreciate that, you know what I mean? And so can you tell people exactly where can they reach you at on your social media sites?
Right. So as far as IG is concerned, they can find us at Blacugees, which is BLACUGEES, Blacugees. And we're also on YouTube under Blacugees as well. Our Inspirational Forces site is going to be launched within the next week. So they'll be able to find us at inspirationalforces.com.
Okay.
And once they go to those social media platforms, it'll also have the links there for our website. There will be a Facebook page as well that's going to be launching soon. And we'll also be having blog entries on there, so they'll be able to keep up with us and keep up with what we're doing and just be able to take part and participate in the webinars and information that we'll be sharing as far as inspiration is concerned. So again, that's Inspirational Forces. But in the meantime, if they'd like to follow our family's travel journey, again, we're at Blacugees, which is BLACUGEES on Instagram.
Wow, there you have it. Awesome expat chat.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you. Tell the little ones we said hello. And blessings to you in Portugal. Thank you so much.
All right. One other thing I want to mention to you guys is I really want to thank you and both of you guys for your inspiration to continue this travel journey.
And to share.
Yeah, and to share.
You guys are, you know, you motivated us to share. And, you know, we were kind of reluctant.
Yeah, this is not.
You guys have been a blessing.
Oh, man. Thank you, man.
This is not my thing.
This is not my thing. But you guys have definitely been an inspiration to us. And from the first time we had a chance to have the consultation with you and speak with you guys in Panama, it was just like a great vibe from the beginning. And I just appreciate everything that you guys have poured into our life, our children, and our experience. It's really been it's life-changing, and we appreciate you very much. And I know that the best is yet to come. You have great
yeah.
Absolutely. We look, it's getting ready to be on.
Yes, yeah.
And we the same sentiments.
Yeah,
we just
do.
really appreciate, you know, just love connections.
Yep.
You know, especially when it's like connection, when it's on a certain alignment or a certain vibration, and we definitely have that here.
And that's the thing about traveling and meeting people while you travel in different countries. You build this bond that'll never be broken.
That's just
you know what I mean?
unbreakable.
Good or bad, it won't be broken. But thanks a lot. We really appreciate your time, and you have a terrific evening, I think.
All right.
Yes, it's evening. Bye. See you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.